Welcome back to the Authority X Factor podcast. I'm your host, Kelly Schuknecht, and in my book, Unlocking Your Authority X Factor, I talk about the importance of stacking assignments to build a sturdy brand. And today's guest is a master of that process. Karla Santi is the CEO and visionary of Blend Interactive. Her journey began in 1997 as a graphic design intern building early websites, and over the last 2 decades, she has evolved into a powerhouse leader in the tech space. Recognized as the SBA's Small Business Person of the Year for South Dakota, Karla is a passionate mentor and a vocal advocate for women in STEM. Beyond her role as a CEO, Karla is a wife, a mom, and impressively a dancer and tennis champ. Today, we're going to talk about how she transitioned from doing the design to leading the vision and uncover the unique authority X factor she uses to attract top talent and drive innovation in a fast paced industry. Karla, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having me. It's lovely to be here.
Well, I want to start out by asking you, in your own words, how you would define your authority X factor. Now, your authority X factor, just as a reminder, if you're a new listener or viewer, the authority X factor is kind of that unique intersection of the skills and experience that you've had in your career that have led you to serve the clients in the way that you do. So, Karla, how would you define your authority X factor?
I think that may differentiate me from others is that when I started in the late 1990s doing this work, predominantly male industry, right? A lot of developers, very technical, heavy people that are super smart. And I was coming in from a little bit of a different angle, coming from the design side, the client side, knowing how to do those things, but that's not where my passion lied. So I realized early that I had to become fluent in understanding all of the technical details in a project, in solving someone's problems, but also speaking in normal language and being able to kind of be that bridge between the technical side of web development back in the day and what problems we're trying to solve and how to communicate to a client who might not care how it's built or how it's done, but really wants that experience for their customers or clients. So I think being myself during that, being able to interpret the actual technology and also being honest and, really transparent and authentic about what I knew and what I didn't and being relatable and real was maybe one of my superpowers. Being a female too was actually, I think, an asset and still is to this day with more and more marketing teams communicating with technical teams. I feel like I am approachable and someone that people can relate to. So I do think that's helped me throughout my career.
Love that. Well, you and I know each other already, and I remember reading a bio at an event that said something like, um, I something about how you started building websites and you turned out you were pretty good at it. And so kind of like that beginning, take us back to that beginning day. So 1997-ish, when you started designing websites. I mean, you and I both remember what websites were like back then, very different from today. But how did you start down that path of designing websites and learning that you were good at it?
Yeah, well, so I'm a designer at heart. Like I was born with design talent. I knew that I wanted to do something in my life that would allow me to use that talent. Like I could draw, I could paint, you know, fine art specialty, but I knew that I didn't want to I wanted to make a career out of it, and obviously being a fine artist is a little tougher to do that. So I went into a new profession called graphic design back in 1994. I remember looking in my high school guidebook, you kind of have to pick like, what are you going to study at school? And thinking like, what's the closest thing to use these talents in a way that can turn into a profession? And even back in 1994, graphic design was still kind of old school. It was just becoming a digital skill and area of study. So I went to a school that was pretty forward thinking, learned how to design things in Photoshop on a Mac, which was mind blowing at the time. And ultimately, at the end of those 4 years in college, I got an internship at a web development firm And I didn't even know really what that meant. Like websites, nobody had a website. We were just kind of figuring it out at the time. And back then, it was a very visual, creative world. Like every website looked different and you navigated it different from another site because that's how you stood apart. So opposite of what we do today with accessibility and, making sure everybody can see your content, it was kind of exciting and creative and very design heavy. And so I got into web design and development because that was part of it, but the development side was so minimal. Like sites really didn't do that much back in the day, and it was a good entryway into that field of study. And honestly, it was just the right timing. Like, I got to
Yeah.
build people's first websites. I worked with clients from all over all over the United States for sure, and some international, just because there weren't that many people that did that kind of work back in the day. So it was definitely who you knew, what you knew, and just being kind of an early person in the industry and getting known for doing good work that set me on the right path.
Yeah. So it's interesting kind of hearing some of that. Like, so the you mentioned, the websites now are so different from how they were then. Like, so how does that evolve? I mean, you studied graphic design. Was that what you got, like, your actual degree in, was graphic design?
Correct. Yep. I graduated with a degree in graphic design and a minor in business. But
Okay.
I never really did go into design work. I never was a
Okay.
print designer or anything. I went right into web. So this internship that I got actually turned into a full-time job. And then when that company didn't make it, I started my own just to kind of finish those projects up, expecting to have to go find a real job someday. But those projects turned into more clients and more projects. And then all of a sudden, I had my own business with clients that needed me. And ultimately, uh, I hit a crossroads where I just couldn't take on any more work. I didn't enjoy working alone, was very isolating. This is before we worked remote and I
Yeah.
was remote, right?
Yeah.
And so I founded Blend in 2005 with two other business partners who I'd met through a mutual client. I kind of came in from the design side and they were my client and I hired them to do the back end development. And it turns out we were a blend of both design and development, which even in 2005 was pretty uncommon. You had sites that were really still pretty designy and cool, but didn't do anything, or you had really functional technical sites that did something, but the experience wasn't as great. So, yeah, for the last 21 years, I've been doing a blend of both. And of course, over the years, my role at the company has evolved. In the beginning, I was the designer, the salesperson, the accountant, all of the hats because that's what you do. And then as we were able to grow, I worked myself out of any of those things. I don't work on project work at all and haven't for quite some time. I design things on the side sometimes, some websites for organizations that I'm passionate about. But yeah, you don't want me to work on your website anymore at Blend, that's for sure.
Okay, so that's interesting because I was gonna ask, like, how do you keep up as things are evolving? But it's kind of, I mean, now it's developers who are specialized in that. It's kind of like you were talking about graphic design being like this brand new concept 20 plus years ago. And, now it's like the work that developers are doing is not something that was being done 20 years ago. So they're learning specifically for what is current in website design. So, okay, so kind of talk me through now, like, so you blended your leadership, and that was kind of early on, it sounds like, for Blend and the evolution of the company. Who does Blend now serve, and how has that evolved over time?
Well, I think when you start a business, any business is business, and you just take it on, and even if it doesn't feel like it's your expertise, you figure it out, right? And so we're kind of doing that today, all full circle again with AI.
Yeah.
But as we were able to, become financially stable and really start to be selective of the type of work that we did, we realized that what we do well is some of the what we would call complex, more difficult, challenging work, which was integrations and Specifically, now we work in 3 verticals that have a lot of compliance. So healthcare is one of them. We have 2 big children's hospitals, financial services, banks, credit unions, as investment companies that's dealing with a lot of private data. We gotta keep secure, and all those connections need to be tight. And then another one is just associations with, thousands and thousands of members that need to use sites. So over time, we kinda kept working our way into bigger and bigger, kinda more enterprisey type sized projects, and websites, and that just took the expertise that we had, which allowed us to, charge a little bit more, and so we kinda worked our way up into the market and, have never been big. So, noted, Blend has been 25 at its largest. We're 24 right now. And that was by choice too. We wanted to kind of be a boutique firm doing custom work that was a little more challenging and unique in some way instead of cranking out the same kind of site over and over again. So that was all on purpose.
Yeah, yeah. Now, I don't usually go into talking about AI, but you mentioned it and I'm curious. So how are you kind of evolving with what is now happening with AI? I mean, I think we're all still kind of trying to figure out what how AI is changing things and what it means, but how are you currently kind of tackling that?
Well, I mentioned how it's kind of a full circle moment. We're having to forget everything that we know, let go of our expert title, and almost start a new startup. We have to look at the processes that we're using, the tools that we're using in a whole new lens. How can we do it differently, more efficiently? Is there a better way to do this? Is AI um, making what we do enhancing what we do? Is it replacing what we do? We're having to analyze everything and then also determine, that's as a business ourselves, but how can we use AI and these new tools to actually help people and help our clients and provide essentially another service line for them. So, you know, to keep it tidy and short, like we can't ignore the fact that AI has provided a whole new world for us and that will change our business significantly, potentially. And it's our job to make sure that we're evolving and staying on top of everything that we're able to do and can be capable of, not only just for the health of our business, but how can we help our clients, our existing clients and new clients figure out this whole new world. So it's exciting. It's a little scary. Um, I think one of the harder things at my age is, we had it figured out. We had proven processes and we had ways to help people that really worked. And now you have to start over in your thinking a bit and open your mind and forget what you knew. Obviously, we still have a lot of expertise, but we really do need to look at all of that through a new lens.
Yeah. AI is still, I mean, again, like we're still kind of figuring it all out, right? But, just hearing kind of the evolution of everything in the last 20 to 30 years is really interesting because, I mean, yeah, 1990, I graduated from high school in 1996, and
Yeah,
that was 30 years ago.
exactly.
Anyways, but if you think about like 30 years ago, I mean, I vividly remember what websites looked like when they first started coming out, right? And like so much changes over time, and AI, is changing things drastically faster. But like still, it's all a part of this, right? Like everything is just constantly evolving and changing, and like you said, you're just having to keep up and look at what's ahead and be prepared as a business for, um, positioning yourself for that.
Yeah.
You know
I think one of the differences with this is, I've been through a lot of change in web development over the years. And, when we started, for example, like this didn't exist.
Yeah,
We didn't have smartphones, like
yeah,
mobile, what? So throughout time, like our industry had pretty significant changes, but I viewed them as opportunities to expand your service lines. Like, okay, now you have a website and now it needs to work on mobile. And or do you need an app for that? They're ends, and we're no stranger to change. Like everything's always changing in our industry. But this is the one that is the pace of it is certainly different. The weight of it is different. It potentially could replace parts of what we do, and that's different. in my opinion. And it's probably the most significant amount of change that I've experienced as a business owner over, the 21 years that I've been doing Blend. But even beyond that, this is big. And I just have to look at it as another opportunity, right? Like, how can this provide another service line? How can we now do this new thing and be helpful to others?
Yeah. Yeah. And with website design, I mean, yes, you can get on and you can create a website now very, very easily on your own. However, I also think though that there are people who are tech savvy enough like me. Like I am not a developer, I'm not a designer, and yet like I can figure out the vibe coding thing, right? Because I have some knowledge of things, but like most people don't have that.
Mhm.
Like most people haven't built their own website in the past, right? So there's still like a disconnect between like just general public who need services and
Mhm.
people like, you at Blend and what you guys do. I don't think that the average business owner is just going to go and like figure it out and create their own website.
Right.
I
Yeah.
mean, can they? Yes, but it's still there does take some knowledge of, how things work, what,
Mhm.
just the things that you need to be thinking about or need to have like the back end stuff. Like I don't even know the words to describe it, but like
Yeah.
it does take some understanding.
Well, to simplify it too, I don't remember who gave me this analogy, but it's a good one. Like, we also all have the tools to change our own oil in our
Yeah,
car and physically can do it. Should we? Do we want to? No. Like, there are other people who are experts and want to do that kind of work. So, like anything, yes, can you do it yourself? Likely. Is it gonna Are you gonna enjoy it? Do you have time to do it? Probably
right.
not. And there are experts like us that like have the background to be able to either guide you through it and come up with the plan or just do it for you. So I do think that, you have to keep that in mind as well. Everybody's saying, well, I'm going to be replaced by AI. I don't 100% think that's true for some professions, of course, but yeah, I just have to remind myself of that. I think as a business owner, you look at all these external factors always, what's affecting your business, what change do I need to incorporate to stay in business. So, we're just going to adapt as quickly as possible, and because of our size, we're able to do that. And I think one of the benefits of my company is we've always taken the position that we are guides. Like maybe we have a coaching service line where we're coming in and coaching your internal team on how to better implement their website. So we don't always do the work. So we're taking that same kind of coaching and guide theme for AI. Like we can guide you through best practices or setting up workflows, whatever it might make sense. We're here to help you. And I think the one thing we have going for us, and this ties back to my authority X factor, is like we're genuine, authentic people and we're human. And
Yeah.
I think more and more with all of this automation, that's what we need. We need trust. And if you need to hire us to be your trusted guide in navigating this, that's what we're here for.
Yeah. I so yeah, a couple things on that. Like love that analogy that you use because it's so true, right? Like I mean I can't change my own oil, but my husband can. And sometimes he changes his own
Right.
oil, but
Good
most of yeah, I mean um but, a lot of times, like, we'll just go somewhere to get it done, just where we can drive up or whatever because it's super convenient and, that's nice to have. And also, yeah, on the authenticity piece, like, I 100% believe that. I think that authenticity and showing up, being a real person on screen, I mean, showing video of yourself, talking, doing podcast interviews, things like that are really important now and are gonna be more important than ever because it's that's gonna make you stand out. Like, yeah, I wanna work with Karla versus, like, I wanna sit at a computer, like you were saying, working remotely by myself, designing a website, holding up myself in my office, like anyway, I think that yeah, the beauty of being authentic and showing up, it's gonna make you stand out now. Well, so I wanna ask you about, like, going back, like, we kind of saw that mm, full picture of you, fresh out of college or fresh out of high school, actually. starting your starting website design, and then kind of the progression of Blend, and now a 24-person company. If you could give yourself advice that day one you in 1997, if you could talk to that version of yourself now, what is the advice that you would give yourself?
Oh, that's tough. There's a laundry list, I'm sure, of lessons learned along the way. But I think that back in the day, too I was very nervous about not being respected or having to prove myself like knew what I was talking about. And I think just, back to the gender thing, an age thing. I was really young. Like I started this company in my late 20s. Of course I looked very young and spry, but like I had to be that person walking into a conference room doing a sales pitch to people twice my age that have been in their industry for a long time. And I think in my head I was like, they're thinking like, what does this girl know? Like, come on now. And especially when it was such a new industry that like nobody knew what was right and wrong. I guess if I could have had more confidence and just like, "Well, I'm the one that does this for a living, you should trust me." And then also I don't know that this was even a thing, like, we really didn't have social media to share those thoughts and to put myself out there like you're talking about.
Yeah.
Like, thought leadership wasn't a thing, really, but if there was an opportunity earlier in my career, which there was, I think I didn't go for it because I kept thinking like, "Oh, someone else is better at this than me or smarter than I am. Like, what do I have to say about this thing?" And I still think that to this day sometimes. Like, I have my own LinkedIn newsletter because I was told to have one, and every month it's like, "Well, what am I supposed to write about? What do I know about?" And so I haven't fully gotten over that, but had I started earlier, I think that self-confidence and just being a thought leader about what I do know and being honest about what I don't would have served me well, and I'm still working on that today.
It's funny to hear you say that though, because you have such a great presence on LinkedIn. I mean, I see your newsletter come out. You have such a great personal brand, a strong personal brand. And, just to hear you say some of those things, it's like we don't even see ourselves through other people's lenses, I don't think.
Well, I think isn't that one of your service lines is to say, "Carla, we're gonna get this thing done, and if you need ghost writing, let me know." Like, I think that that is very valuable because, A, like, it takes a lot of time. If it's not your natural ability to write and to put yourself out there, it takes time.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of my thought. Like, I churn over what should I write about, and ultimately, I ended up just talking into my phone, like, thoughts about a thing, so I could come back and, like, maybe write about it later. Because if I had to start with, like, write an outline for a post, I'd be like, "No."
Yeah.
So, it's definitely a work in progress, and a note about, like, what that's meant to me. So, I've had my newsletter for a year now, over a year. I think I'm at 14 issues once a month. And, of course, it's marketing at some level, but it's not always the analytics that really demonstrate the impact. So, every post gets impressions and comments and, all of the KPIs you're looking for, but it's I ran into someone the other day and had lunch, and they're like, "I just love reading what you have to say." And they've never liked anything. I wouldn't have known they've seen it,
Yeah.
but
Yep.
or people will text me after I write something that struck a chord, like, "I really needed to hear that today. This is what I'm going through," or it's that makes me realize each of us has something to share that someone's going to relate to. And even if I can touch one person and it does some sort of good, then it's worth my time. But it's hard and it's difficult again to, am I a thought leader on this? Am I an industry expert? Probably not. So you got to just set that aside and do it anyway.
The things that you are saying is like so perfectly summarizing what is in my book. Is just that we often don't feel like we
Mhm.
take our skills and experiences for granted. And we don't realize how much we have inside of us that we can share with the world and how much we can help other people. Like we do. We just think that the things that we've experienced are just common knowledge. And so often just taking the time to get it out of your head and, say it into your phone or
Mhm.
type up a post or whatever, just it can help people in ways that you just don't even realize. Like it really, we just often do that. We take our own experiences, our own skills, our own knowledge for granted. And so it's good that somebody is pushing you to get that content out of your head and to write it. It may feel uncomfortable to you. For me, it was doing video content. I was very uncomfortable with that. And, I just forced myself to do it. And now it's like, I don't even think about it, but it just becomes a habit that we get into that we can kind of get over that fear. So, anyway, it's
Yeah.
good to hear that even when you have grown a company to 24 people, you still have these struggles.
Yeah. And I do think that another really beneficial thing for me has been mentoring. So I'm pretty passionate in our local startup community and helping entrepreneurs and guiding them. And I think it goes both ways. It's not me sharing information to them. I learn a lot I learn just as much from any other startup. But also I've recognized how much I have figured out. I know that sounds strange, but
Yeah. No,
they'll
it's
ask some really critical questions like, "How am I gonna do this thing?" And I'm like, "Well, well, my you don't get to well, you adjust unless you've been
yeah,
doing it for a long time and it falls into
yeah,
the background and then you forget that was a big deal at one point." So I think anytime you can expose yourself to someone starting out again, or, if you can mentor or you just have lunch with someone who wants to pick your brain, I I honestly think you both get a lot out of it. And personally, I think I need the reminder like, "Oh, I do know that." And
yeah,
I have been there before. And yeah, we run EOS or we have a fractional CFO, like all of these things that we've kind of figured out over time, just we need to be reminded of sometimes.
yeah, yeah. That's great. Well, Carla, you mentioned your LinkedIn newsletter. So LinkedIn is the place to connect with you, but tell listeners or viewers where else they can find you online and connect with you if they want to hear more about what you do or connect with you as a person, but also to hear more about Blend.
Yeah, you bet. Well, you mentioned my newsletter. It's called From Pixels to Purpose because I used to be a designer and now I kind of talk about all of these experiences and business ownership. So you can find me there, LinkedIn at Karla Santi, Karlasanti. And the company I own and founded is called Blend Interactive. So our website is blendinteractive.com. So those are the two main ones for business. If you want to follow me on Instagram, that's at Karla Santi as well. I'm not great at posting on social. I am working on it. I swear I will get better. But I think one of the tricky parts is what do you share in your personal life and what do
I know.
you share for
Yeah.
business? That's still a work in progress as well.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a constant struggle, especially when, you're like, do I show up as a professional here or do I show up,
Mhm.
and like show personal side here? And, just always
Mhm.
kind of trying to figure out that balance. And,
Yep.
yeah, my belief on it is you should show up as authentic as possible and show your personal side without, you don't need to overshare on LinkedIn, but yeah, it's always kind of a balancing game.
I still never posted. We were in Portugal together last year. Did I
Yeah.
post about it? No. I'll get I'll get around to it. It'll be the
I mean,
anniversary
a year
soon.
later, yeah, like, "A year ago, I went here." That's okay.
Actually, fun fact, I'm tangenting just a little bit, but I think I might actually start a little travel log, like all the little places that I've been, not little places, big places.
You've traveled a
Just start
lot,
posting
yeah,
about it. Yeah,
yeah. Well, I
there you
look
go.
forward to seeing that.
Next goal.
Yeah. All right, Carla, well, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your authority X factor.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for watching. My book, Unlocking Your Authority X Factor, is now available on Amazon. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. See you next week.